Hello and welcome to the Business Value Exchange. My name is Helen Beckett and I'm the Community Manager, and delighted today to introduce Tim Grieveson. Tim's back with us. You are performing in the CIO and CISO role, and it's formerly with the G4S Group, and your current passion is transformation. So pleased to have you with us today as a thought leader.
Good morning, Helen, and pleased to be here again.
It's a timely chat, and I want to pick your brains today, particularly about cyber security, which is really hitting the headlines this side of the Atlantic and the other side, with major breaches being recorded of US retailers. How do you think the CEO should respond to this state of alarm and also the state of cyber reality?
Sure, I think there's several things they can do. I think the first and probably the most important is to be cognizant of the problem. Not trying to bury their heads in the sand, or that the organisation bury its head in the sand, saying, it won't happen to it. It has nothing to steal. So I think the first thing is to look at what breaches have occurred for these other organisations, analyse the lessons learnt, and try and relate those back to their organisation. For me, information security and cyber security is very, very important to the board, and it should be seen in the same light as health and safety.
Right.
So it should be something that's seen as important. But I think the important thing is to have the right matrix to measure it. It's not just IT's job. It's not just about technology. It's about the information and the assets of the business.
Okay, so that's interesting. You bring in the whole board sitting around the table here discussing it. People come at it from many different angles, don't they? And a number of reports have flagged up there's sort of a disconnect between acknowledging the concern that it should cause an organisation and the sort of action they should be taking collectively. In the past, you've counselled the CIO to think like a CMO. Do you think there's merit for all members of the board to be doing that? Do you think that's a wise step? What do you mean by it?
Yeah, so I do. I actually believe that the CIO, the CMO, the CDO, the CFO should be bedfellows, as opposed to seeing each other as a threat. The important thing is they're all trying to do exactly the same thing. They're trying to improve revenue. They're trying to grow the organisation. They're trying to keep things and make it accessible by their clients and their customers. The other thing they probably want and should be involved in is classification of the assets.
Okay.
What's important to the organisation. And I think the important thing is to not try and protect everything, but to protect the crown jewels of the business rather than trying to protect and look after everything. And I think the other thing is it should be about enablement rather than disablement, which is, potentially why shadow IT occurs. The business has been to IT, it's asked for something, it hasn't been able to deliver it, or it's made it complex and difficult. So shadow IT appears and they go and do it themselves.
So you're talking, that's very interesting. Just to recap, you're talking about enabling, not disabling, and being really proactive, identifying that there's very critical assets that have to be above all protected, because everyone's operating in this virtual world where we're connected, uber connected to the whole supply chain, our customers, and the whole world, it seems.
It is, and I think the important thing is prepare for a cyber breach or a security information breach. Assume you've already been breached, not because of any malicious external entity, but often it's uneducated people who don't necessarily recognise, that bringing a USB externally in or sending someone a document could cause a problem. So recognising that you've been breached. But then the second thing that I would say that's really important is awareness. Assuming the insider threat is very much real.
Yeah. And
producing cyber breach scenarios and test them. So not just DR when it goes wrong, which is IT.
Yeah.
But bring in, the PR team, the legal team, the IT team, the HR team, the finance team, and get everybody to practice what would happen and what they would do in a scenario. Test it regularly, don't do it annually, and don't just do it for audit and compliance, but actually do it to help protect your revenue and protect your business.
So what you described there is really very much a corporate exercise, marshalled and governed from the very top by the CEO. So many thanks. I think that's often an area of confusion. So thank you for sort of explaining some of those responsibilities around the board and how you would approach the issue of cyber breaches today. Many thanks, Tim.
All right. Thank you very much indeed.